What is up, my friends? Did you guys have a great week? I hope you did, and welcome to another episode of A Taboo Life, where everyone has a story to tell. I'm your host, Drew Franks, or Frank for short, and I want to thank you guys again for listening. Come check out our website, ataboolife.com, where you can read some interesting articles such as The Lone Zebra and the Bohemian Bee, an ode to the individual. There's also short stories, poems, because I am that sappy, other episodes of the podcast, and books on there that I've written, one of which is one that's something I really loved writing, and it's titled The Malediction of Lewin Glass. It is a story of a man who was tricked in selling his soul to the devil, and he has a year to get it back. This story is basically for anyone who loves Stephen King or Neil Gaiman. It is in that genre of the fantasy horror, but nevertheless, it's still a good read, so check it out. All of it is at ataboolife.com. Today's guest is Miss Sailor Cher. She is a very fantastic person to interview. I had a great time doing this episode. We did it at her tattoo parlor, which is the name of the business is titled Sailor Cher's Tattoo and Body Piercing. So this episode does have background noise, so it gives a little more character to it. But Sailor Cher was a great person to talk to. She has so many good stories. She was funny. She didn't give a shit what she said. She was in the Navy. She has a great story about a Saudi prince almost kidnapping her. But let the episode speak for itself. And also, since I am on Instagram now, the pictures we talked about on the episode is going to be on Instagram, so you can see her tattoos, some of her work too. But here's the episode, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Okay, we're live. We're having a little special episode. I am in Sailor Cher's tattoo parlor, and if you hear people talking in the background, the needles buzzing, it's because we're actually live in her shop while people are working. So this is going to be an interesting episode. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Sailor Cher. I am the owner of Sailor Cher's Tattoo and Body Piercing here in St. Augustine. I am a tattooer. I'm also a piercer. This is an all-girls shop here in the nation's oldest city. It's a family-owned shop. I work with 2 of my 5 daughters, 1 of my 11 grandchildren, and we just got named Best of St. Augustine for 2018, so we're real proud of that.
Ooh, really?
Yep.
Ooh. So we're going to start from the beginning. How did you get started in doing tattoo art?
I got a late start in my career. It was about 2004. I'd spent a career in the Navy, and we moved to St. Augustine from San Diego, and I was doing my art and doing little different jobs, and I had a friend who owned a studio here in town, and she kept after me, for years, like, telling me how good I was going to be in this industry. She goes, "You'd be great in this industry. Come on. And I'm like, ew, I don't want to touch people. Ugh. I just, Well, one day she called me, and I was between jobs. It was sort of like fate. And I said, okay, I'll come down, and you've got 2 weeks. I gave her 2 weeks, because I was convinced I was going to hate it, So I became a body piercer, and I took to it like a duck to water. It was awesome. Not only did I love doing it, but I like making people happy and, giving them, as a body piercer, giving them the different things they wanted. And then eventually, I transitioned into tattooing. I say it's like working in a taco shop. Mm-hmm. Eventually, you want to learn to speak Spanish.
Yeah.
So I kind of evolved into tattooing. I still pierce, but I've been tattooing now for about 9 years. My friend wasn't too keen on me getting into tattooing, mm-hmm. and we eventually parted ways.
Why was that?
I don't know. She, I don't know. She didn't think I'd be a good tattooer, but
oh wow.
She told me I'd be good in the industry. She was right about that.
Mm-hmm.
She told me I wouldn't be a good tattooer, and she was wrong about that. So yeah. So she actually fired me, and I went on pursuing what I wanted to do, and eventually opened my own shop. There have been people along the way, that have helped me, encouraged me,
Mm-hmm.
And we opened our own shop, and from the day we opened our doors, we've been successful. So, and I'm able to work with my kids, and yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, it's rare to find like a family business, and especially run by all women. So it's very interesting.
What do you mean by that?
No, I didn't mean like that. I didn't mean look bad like that. I mean,
people,
especially a family business too.
Well, it's interesting because when we first opened, people were coming up to me, friends, and all going, "What's it like working with your kids?"
Mm-hmm.
And it was always strange because they always had that kind of negative connotation to their question, and I'm like, it's great, There's no backstory. I know where they're coming from. I know how they are. And I say it doesn't matter how old they are. They don't get too old that I can't take them over my knee. So that's how I handle them.
Oh my God! So you were in the Navy,
yes,
and did you retire from the Navy?
No, I spent 16 years.
Okay, so you got out.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do in the Navy?
Well, I was a journalist.
Oh,
but
really?
I was an 8148 photojournalist. I graduated from the Syracuse University program, and
Mm-hmm.
And it was good because there weren't that many people in that specialty. So I got really good duty. I got to do a lot of good things, a lot of fun things. I'm a Vietnam War era veteran, so I go way back. I've got some good stories.
Well, you look so young.
The Navy was fun.
You look so young though.
Oh, you're so sweet. You're my new best friend. And I just turned 66.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
No, I thought you were probably like late 40s.
Thanks. You're especially my new best friend.
So, for the journalist for the Navy, did you had to go to war zones, or did you go anything?
Well, back then it was the old Navy, so they didn't send women into combat.
Oh, okay.
But I was with, like during Vietnam, I was with the with Stars and Stripes out of Tokyo, and so we covered that region. So yeah, we got sent on some pretty good assignments, but I was never in country. I was never in a combat position. I did a lot of I did 2 tours with. Two tours with with the Public Affairs Center in San Diego, and that was sort of like a wire service for the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
We got sent all over the place to cover these stories. We wrote about the Navy for civilian publications. So that was really cool. And then I did my mid-career tour. I was with the Recruiting Command in Denver. I pushed boots in Orlando.
What's push boots?
I was a company commander, like a drill instructor.
Oh, wow.
For the Navy in boot camp, yeah. I know it's hard to imagine being the fragile, demure flower that I am.
Actually, one of my good friends, he's in reserves and he's a drill instructor.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so
That's cool.
He's a funny guy, but there's times where you actually see him get serious and get drill instructor like. He does the knife hand thing. Mm-hmm. Like knife hands.
Yeah. No, it was a definitely experience. I really hated it though. I really did.
Oh, why?
Because I felt that the other, that it was less to do about helping these kids make a smooth transition from civilian to military life, and more about the competition between the company commanders.
Really?
And I just thought it was like, I don't know. It could have been the time of my life too. I was going through a divorce, and I had recently been separated from my kids, and it wasn't a real good time, and so I probably projected a lot. Either way. Plus, I was in Florida, and I wanted to get back to California, and there's a lot of factors.
What part of Florida was it?
I was in Orlando.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go. Not said, huh?
Yeah, this was pre-Disney, right?
No, it was the mid-'80s.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then, I forgot when Disney was built. But.
I don't know, but they were definitely there. Yeah, it was just, I wanted to get home to my kids.
And you just kicked the bucket. Oh, not kick the bucket, but it's...
Well, I just requested early transfer back to San Diego, and I did. Mm-hmm. I didn't get out. I just wanted to be back near the water.
Near the water?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So how'd you get out here again?
Well, I got out of the Navy, and I was selling beer on a nude beach in California, and that's where I met my husband.
Was he nude?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was a beer vendor. He was a volleyball player at Black's Beach. And my parents retired here because I grew up in the D.C. area, but we spent all our summers coming down here. My dad was with the Navy Department. Then he was with... Then he went with NASA. He was one of the original scientists that started up NASA in 1958.
Wow.
So we always came through St. Augustine because it was before 95 was built. And so everybody came down US 1. So my mother is of Spanish descent, and she always said they were going to retire here, and they did. I joined the Navy in 71, and they retired in 72 and moved down here. So anyway, we're in San Diego, and I'm like, well, I'm going to go visit my parents who want to come with. And so my boyfriend at the time, who is now my husband, we've been together almost 30 years now. We came here, and then after I got here, I found out I was pregnant again with our youngest daughter. So we're like, I guess we're going to have to
we can't
maybe hang out a little bit, So we had the baby. My mother and Molly bonded, and so we couldn't leave because my mom was like in love with this little baby, and then my mom got sick. We couldn't leave because my mom was sick, and then my mom died, and we couldn't leave my dad, and then my dad died, and by then we're in our second house. My husband's locked into a job, and we just decided to stay. And the cost of living here is, a fraction of what it is in Southern California.
Yeah.
So we just stayed here. My husband retired maybe 6 years ago from Northrop Grumman. So we're here. But we just came back from visiting San Diego. So we go out there. We still have kids out there and grandkids. And
San Diego.
Place to stay.
So, going back to tattooing, how'd you actually start the shop?
Well, you always have it in your head when you're working in other shops, and I've worked in other shops, and they were great shops, don't get me wrong, but, there's always like, if I had my own shop, how would I do it? I would do this different, and, my husband had just retired, and he had a nice little severance package, and he said to me, you want to open your own shop? Here's the money. Let's do it. So, we took all of his money, and, it took us a little while to acquire the space. We're out of the main part of town. We're like 2 miles north of the city. And at first I was like, oh, man, would people come this far? Because it's not really that far, but at first it feels like it's that far.
Well, is this the original saloon that we're in? Or?
No, this was just it was a cell phone place for a while, then it was a children's consignment shop. That's what I think it was. It was just a space. And so I went on Facebook, and I'm like, if I had my own tattoo and piercing shop, would you all come to see me? Is this too far? And everybody's like, no, we do it. Yeah, we love you. And the nice thing is we got parking.
Yeah, that's nice.
That is a really nice thing to have. And so so we took about almost a month to totally, paint, re-outfit, buy stuff. And it was nice to have the money to get everything I needed. I didn't have to like, Rrr. And I remember the night before I opened, I cried.
Oh, why?
I'm like, what am I doing? Who do I think I am? Oh, my God. And from the day we opened our doors, we've been successful. So, it's really, it was nice.
Well, I think you guys have a good location because it's between Jacksonville and St. Augustine. It's a good, happy, medium area.
Yep.
And because I saw you have a motorcycle. Or is that you in that picture?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I have you're probably going to judge me, but I have a Honda State Line. It looks like a chopper. But this is a really nice road to go take a ride on.
Yeah, yeah.
And even if you're driving, it's a nice road to take a drive on.
When we first opened, the end building or the end shop was the BP station, and it was the last. It was before they built the Circle K next door. this was the last gas station between here and 210. So everybody stopped at this gas station. And they'd see my sign, and they'd go, "Hey, a lot of people stopped in. We were wondering where you were." And so it's been good all the way around.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
What was your first tattoo? The one that you did for yourself?
My first tattoo I got was my mom tattoo.
Aw.
I was 42 for my first tattoo, and my mom had passed. And it's interesting because I wanted to get tattooed since I was like 5 years old. Mm-hmm. My dad at the time worked for the Navy Department, so even though he was a civilian, we would go to the sick bay and get our shots and stuff when we were little for school and things like that. And there was a second-class corpsman that used to give us our shots, and he had a Sailor Jerry hula girl on his on his forearm, and he used to make it wiggle for me, and I was fascinated with it. And ever since then, I wanted to get tattooed. But back in the day, there weren't shops on every corner like there are now.
Yeah.
There were few and far between, and they were nasty, dirty old men, and it was dark, and it was icky. So when I finally joined the Navy, I had a friend who had gotten this little rosebud on her hip, and I was like, that's what I want, you know? So I go down to the shop where they were in downtown San Diego, and the first time I went, it was closed. The second time I went, I was 19. I was so intimidated by these nasty, dirty old men that smoked cigarettes and had dogs and, you know, like, hey, baby, you know, and all like that. I was like, oh, my God. And so I left. And then the third time I went, I never got out of my car. So then since then, I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't, you know, back and forth. And it was out of my thoughts for a long time. And then I met my friend that I talked about earlier, and my mom had just passed, and I knew immediately that I wanted an old school traditional heart with sash that says mom. And when I got this was considered a huge tattoo for a woman.
How so?
It just was. Women were getting little butterflies on the inside of their ankles.
Oh, something like hidden?
Yeah, hidden and everything. And I wanted this right on my bicep, and people are like, oh my God, that's so big, and it's on your bicep, and what are people going to think? And I'm like, that's where I wanted it. And as they say, the rest is history.
I think, because I know my uncle had a similar tattoo, and he was in the Navy, and I know a couple other people that were in the Navy, old school Navy, they had similar tattoos. Like the similar, like, heart with mom in it.
Yeah. It's a real traditional, real, you know, old school tattoo, and that's what I wanted. My mother would probably have hated it.
That looks nice.
Oh my God, Cheryl May, what have you done?
It still looks fresh.
It does. It's never been touched up.
Oh, really?
And I've had all this other stuff added to it since then, but yeah.
Yeah, my tattoo, I only have 3. I'll show you the one. Abraham.
That's cool.
Yeah, but I think I may have to get it touched up because it looks kind of lighter now.
Well, they do. They fade.
Yeah, they fade.
Yeah.
But then I have this one too.
That's good too.
Yeah.
Look at all that canvas you have. You need more.
Oh, last year, I used to be a cop, and I went to Savannah because that's where I was a cop at for a friend's wedding. We got drunk, and I stood at my friend's house with his wife, or their house and his wife, and we were so drunk, and he's into tattooing, and he's doing his own tattoos on himself. He's like, yeah, let's do a tattoo on you. So he did the. Let's show you
let's see it.
Ooh. Can you see it if I pull it down?
No. What is it? You're gonna have to take your shirt off. That's
It's
fine.
a couple arrows, north, south, east, west.
Oh, okay. A little shaky, but all right. It's good.
Well, the thing is, like, I told him let's do something simple, since he was drunk and he still didn't. He's still teaching himself how to do the tattoo artist, but he had all the equipment. He had hygienic stuff too, so like everything was fresh, so it wasn't dirty. But I think that one's my favorite because it was just fun. And I didn't care. Like, yeah, it's not the most professional looking one, but it is one of my favorites.
Some of the least professionally done are the ones with the good stories behind it.
Yeah, it's the sentimental value.
Yeah. And my flying penis.
Wait, do that again because I'm going to take that picture and put on the description.
And make my arm look like not flabby.
There you go, Grandma. Flex it.
Yeah.
What's the story behind that one?
Okay, the story about this is that tattoos they come in like everybody will come in and they want arrows, or everybody comes in and they want butterflies. There's just trends that happen, and for a while people were coming in and they were wanted bat wings on it. They wanted a heart with bat wings. They wanted pineapples with bat wings, and I'm like, bat wings are so ugly. The only thing that would look good with bat wings would be a flying dick. And I went, oh. So I drew it up, and nobody would tattoo it on me. At the studio where I work, nobody would do it. And I'm like, why won't anybody do this tattoo on me? And they said, well, because we like you and we don't want you to regret it later. And I said, darling, I am later.
Yeah, later.
So
later is now.
Yeah. So an apprentice from Seattle did that on me, and it is really not a good tattoo.
I don't know, like it's not bad.
Well, I didn't want the blue balls, and I didn't have hair on my balls and stuff.
You put the hair on the ball.
And my husband says, "Don't tell anybody that's my dick because it looks weird."
It looks weird. Like, no, why it looks better.
So it's a good story.
Do you have, probably besides the mother one, do you have a very sentimental tattoo, something that's just your absolute favorite?
It's hard to say what my absolute favorite is. I mean, my husband and I have matching tattoos on our hands. His says Sailor Cher, and mine says Just Dave. Mm-hmm. His name's Just Dave because everywhere we go, people are always, Sailor Cher, Sailor Cher. And then they look at him and go, who are you? And he goes, I'm Just Dave.
Just Dave.
And so that has stuck with him over the years. My knuckles are my wedding vows. You and me for now.
Oh my God.
I'll tell you, when we got married, when it was like, damn, forever. That's so much pressure,
Yeah.
And I said, all I can give you is what I got, and all I got is now. So it's been this standing joke for 30 years, but everywhere we go, we'll put Dave in red for now. He calls me red because my hair used to be red before it turned gray. And Dave in red for now. And so when we got married, we changed anytime you're supposed to say forever, we changed it for now. So it's
original. It's original.
For now. Yeah, I got a few minutes. Sure, why not? So I got my mom's portrait on my back. That's pretty sentimental. I even forget a lot what I have. I have the portrait of Prince on my leg.
Oh, really?
I had that done. People ask me about it now, but I've had that tattoo for 14 years.
Oh, so before he died.
Yeah, I had it. It was the cover of Rolling Stone the week he started his musicology tour, which is the tour I saw him on. And so I came back and had this tattoo done, and they wanted it's on the inside of my left calf, and people are like, no, you should put it, in the front. And I'm like, no, because this is the only way I'm going to get that man between my legs. And you can't move it because then I can't use that line. So that has a lot of meaning. I have my latest one is a kitsune, which is a Japanese fox. Fox is my spirit animal. So that means something to me. I mean, everything has got, somewhat of a thought process or a story behind it. I have my anchor with my Navy dates on it. I have my autograph from Lyle Tuttle, who's the godfather of modern ink. And he just turned 87, I think. And he's retired from tattooing, but when he goes to conventions, he'll tattoo one friend. And I was the friend a few years ago. So
you got his signature.
Yeah.
Roses.
I got the rose. This is for my children. I have so many. I just decided to do one thing to signify it. My Bluebird of Happiness was for my 50th birthday. I had that done. I look around. What am I missing here, Callie?
What's the question?
I got a Sailor Jerry pirate girl with a bloody saber on the back of my left thigh or left calf, and that was my menopause tattoo.
Oh my God!
When I was officially menopausal,
you celebrate by getting a tattoo.
Fucking A.
Sailor Jerry.
People celebrate. Everything is about puberty. Okay.
That does make sense.
And it's like, let's give a little respect to the end of the cycle. You know, when you become a crone, it is the third stage of womanhood, and it should be revered.
What's the first two stages?
Well,
There's puberty.
And then puberty, and then crone. I guess birth. Isn't that what it is? Birth, and then puberty, and then the beginning of your childbearing years. Let's celebrate that end of it too, because then you don't have a period every month. You don't have all that mood crap with PMS.
It's like, ooh, that's gone.
And you can have superfluous sex without worrying about getting pregnant. Yay! It's good and everything.
This get a little personal. I hooked up with this woman once, and she was older, really beautiful woman. But she told me, you don't have to use a condom. I have my, I went through menopause. I'm like, no, I'm still going to use one.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you use those for other things. Yeah.
Like, let me use one.
But yeah, it should be celebrated. We're one of the few cultures that don't celebrate our elders, that don't celebrate the wisdom of the crone, and even hag. Has got a detrimental connotation to it. And it's let's celebrate my wisdom.
You made it this far.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people make it to a certain age. You made it.
Yeah, there is a certain celebration in that. I'll say that.
Do you have a favorite tattoo that you did for another person? That something that you thought was your best work?
No, it's so hard to say. Best work. I've done stuff that have been so important to the person. And it's a privilege that they come to me to do this. The one that comes to mind is I just got an email from the woman, and she's coming back for another tattoo because her mother passed. But originally she came to me because she had her 15-year-old daughter. She was born with a condition. I don't remember what it was. But then at 15 she passed, and so she had me do this tattoo on her arm, and it was a silhouette of a little girl on a swing. And the little girl had a little bob haircut because that's how the girl's hair was cut. And she was holding a stuffed rabbit because that's what she loved. And then, I forget what it said. Something about, I can't even remember. Something about how she loved her so much and her letting go. Callie, go get my portfolio. Find that picture for me. And it really, really touched her. Another time, a woman came in and she had had a mastectomy, and they had rebuilt, her breast. They had done an implant, but she had gone to somebody to have the nipple tattooed on, and they didn't do a very good job. So she wanted me to fix it, and so I just did a butterfly and flowers and stuff like that. And I brought her around to the mirror, and I'm letting her look at it, and I have it covered, and so then I wiped it, and she saw it for the first time, and she immediately grabbed me, and at first I was like, oh God, she hates it. She's going to strangle me. Oh, but she just burst into tears and just cried, and she has stopped in a couple times since then. I mean, it changed her life.
Yeah.
She said she felt so ugly when she looked in the mirror every day and stuff like that, and now she was beautiful, so that was cool. I also tattoo with ashes.
Oh, really?
So
I heard that before that you can do that.
I tattooed a dog portrait of it is there.
Is that the
with the dog's ashes?
Aww.
And this is the one with the it says, "How lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard."
All right, give me that. Take a picture.
Okay.
Yeah, guys, whoever's listening, some of these pictures will be on the website, and starting this weekend, will be on Instagram because I finally relented. I got Instagram and Twitter. Now I gotta learn how to use them. But get the reflection off. It's a beautiful tattoo.
Well, sometimes it's the simple things too that people, it has the meanings for them. And again, it's a privilege that they come to me, they trust me, or my artists to convey what they're feeling, because it's on them forever.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, because you mentioned it too, and I want to ask about your take on the fad tattoos. So, like, you said the bat wing. Then when I was growing up, it was the tribal tattoo and the barbed wire one. Mm-hmm. So and I think when I got my tattoo was the apostrophe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what's your take on that?
As far as trends?
Yeah, trends.
Well, it's whatever's on Pinterest now. We get all these Pinterest drawings, and we try to have people, I try to find out what it is about that image that they like, so we retain that element, and then change it up so it's not a Pinterest tattoo.
Something that they're not going to regret later on.
Yeah. But a lot of people want it just like that, and you give them what you want, You got the money, honey, I got the time.
You're the paying customer.
Yeah, exactly. But we try to steer people kind of in the right direction. But right now we're doing, we're talking about that. What were we calling it? Like silly white girl tattoos? Basic white girl tattoos.
Basic white girl.
Infinity symbols.
Oh, she has an infinity symbol.
Uh-huh. Oh, she has an 8.
Oh, so that's 8.
That's an 8. Infinity symbols, dream catchers, feathers.
The tramp
arrows.
stamp.
Tramp stamps are kind of old school. When I do a tramp stamp, it's to cover up an old tramp stamp.
Okay.
People aren't really coming in for those anymore. Oh, the EKG with a date on it, something like that. I think we said arrows. But they're all good because I say all the time, we can joke about people getting tattoos or that everybody has them and everything, but somebody comes in and wants a rose tattoo. Mm-hmm. It may be the 20th rose tattoo we've done this week, but it's the first one for them. And you can't ever forget that, Can't forget that. You can't get jaded, although it's kind of easy to. Mm-hmm. You got to remember why you're doing what you do. And it's not about us. No. Contrary to what a lot of artists think. It's not about us. It's not about them. It's about our clients. It's about what they want and what they want to commemorate. And sometimes we do stuff that's like, okay, like somebody came in. We get people being a tourist town. We get a lot of people that want tattoos to commemorate their trip that they're on. We go everywhere and we get a tattoo everywhere we go. And so this couple came in and they wanted sheep. It was awesome. They were the cutest little tattoos. One of them was a black sheep and one was just like a fluffy sheep. And they were like little stick figures, real simple, took me a minute, and but it had a lot of meaning for them, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Because it's amazing, like, especially when you talk to people that may have one tattoo, and when you ask, unless they're one of those, like, douchebag people, so the basic, what we call basic white bitch? Or, basic white girl tattoo. Basic white girl tattoo. Yeah. It's like,
good, white bitch, I like that.
Basic white bitch. No.
Crazy white bitch tattoos. Now we're sounding like other tattoo studios.
But, like, most of them, like, even if it's just one tattoo, it's something that's meaningful. Like, I was talking about my uncle. He only has one tattoo. It's the mother with the heart on it. Mm-hmm. And he said, like, yeah, it's kind of like I kind of wish I had something else, but I love it. It's a memory.
The first tattoo usually starts out as something meaningful, And I only know 2 people, maybe only one person that has only one tattoo. You can't have just one. So it's the crack we put in the pigment that keeps them coming back. That's rude. I shouldn't say that anymore.
No. I know, like, when I start getting more money, I want to get some more tattoos. One of them is this saying I like. It's the triumph of wisdom and compassion over ignorance and hate. And I want to get, like, around my arm.
That'd be cool.
And I do want to get a pinup girl tattoo. Because I have a couple of actually nice paintings in my room of pinup girls.
I see your little Jean Harlow tattoo there.
Is that Jean?
Or your sticker.
I thought that was Marilyn Monroe.
No, that's Jean Harlow.
Oh, wow. I completely wrong. I've been having that for a couple of years. I thought it was Marilyn Monroe.
No.
But also, I think my generation's Marilyn Monroe or pinup girl was Megan Fox, and she's on the computer, too.
Oh, yeah?
The one that's below her.
All right, yeah. I guess it does look like Megan Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Or we can do Batman.
Yeah.
Whenever a superhero movie comes out, too, we usually get
really
like, a bunch of people that came in, like with the Batman movie, that ha 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 ha,
The
and
Joker
in the
one?
shape of that, whatever.
The best Joker?
I don't go to those movies, so I don't know. But yeah, we'll get stuff like that.
What about for other movies like Star Wars?
Yeah. Harry Potter, that's a big one. We
Really?
still do a lot of Harry Potter stuff.
Like, what's a typical tattoo for Harry Potter?
The triangle. With
that's a cool symbol, though.
yeah, with the different. I've done them with. There's different houses.
Oh yeah.
You know, so different colors. We've done the little. What's a little ball with the wings? The snitch, whatever. Yeah, that one. A few of the castles. You know.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and that's always fun to do. What is it? The snake that comes out. And what is that one, Callie?
Which one?
It's the snake.
Oh, for the bad guys.
I don't never read the books. I've never seen the movies.
I like the movies. I still haven't read the books, but no, I like it.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some Harry Potter fans that are like, wow.
Yeah, probably.
Harry Potter.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry guys. You said the wrong word.
Yeah, we get a lot of things. I hate doing Transformers stuff
Really?
because
Why?
because there's. I guess as the game or something, they're just big blocks of color. There's really nothing to them. There's nothing you can do.
Oh, because they're going off the original cartoon.
I don't know. I'm just like, this is what you want? Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Sit in.
Sit out. Who was Optimus Prime?
Yeah. Then there's stuff, I learn about all this. When you're a tattooer, you have to learn about stuff I've never known about before. Like the Browning emblem, the Browning for like guns. When people started coming in for it, they were saying the Browning symbol, and I thought they wanted.
Let me look that up while you're talking.
I thought they wanted the emblem for, like, before you become a Girl Scout, you're a brownie, and so I thought they wanted the brownie symbol, and the brownie symbol is like a little kid running like this, and it kind of looks like a deer's head. I guess you learn about that. Yeah.
Oh,
That's the brownie symbol. So
you're talking about this one?
Yeah. Well, it's just this part.
Oh, okay.
And
I think it looks like Kundalini.
I'm like, why did all these big burly guys want little brownie symbols? So I learned
You
about
want a brownie?
you learn about somebody wants a python. You learn what a python looks like. You learn, you have to research stuff to figure out what things look like, and you actually learn stuff. It's kind of interesting.
Well, what's the most elaborate tattoo you had to make? Something that took a lot of time and effort.
I have the this guy has a snake that goes. He had the yin yang, flaming yin yang already.
Oh wow!
So he wanted the snake. Like, we figured out if he was biting the symbol, and then it goes down and around, and it curls. It goes all the way down to his hand, and that was about 30 hours work. And yeah, it turned out really, really good. He says he gets stopped. People like, "What's in your arm?" Oh, and they think he's got like a real snake. Is that pitiful? But that took a lot of time. Gosh, it's. I'm trying to think. I know as soon as you leave, I'm going to be like, "Oh, I should have said this. Oh crap, I forgot that." I get a lot of people wanting Navy tattoos because they want a sailor to do their sailor tattoo.
Well, when I think of like the original tattoos, I think of Navy tattoos.
Well, yeah, that's what people think, especially in modern times, because when sailors went off to war and stuff, they came home with tattoos. It actually kind of came into our culture with Captain Cook back in the day, because he brought his Polynesian manservants with him back to England and stuff, and they were tattooed, and that kind of got people. Tattooing gets popular, and then it's forbidden, and then it's popular, and then it's taboo. Oh, taboo.
Taboo.
Yeah.
Get to use the word.
But now the Navy, the military didn't allow people to come in if they had visible tattoos and all this other crap. And then a couple years ago, I can tell you the exact day, the Navy lifted their lifted their restrictions.
I mean,
you can have tattoos on your hands, you can have them on your neck, you can have them, all over. And it's funny because when the Navy announced they were lifting their restriction on tattoos, they ran a big article in Navy Times, and who did they quote? Me.
Business. More
because
business.
The guy that works for Navy Times wrote stories, an old boyfriend of mine from the Navy, so he needed a call. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, a lot of people are like, what do you mean you're in the Navy? You don't have any tattoos. You're supposed to. I mean, it goes hand in hand. And so a lot of people do think, Navy tattoos, you got to have them. In fact, what do they say? Tattoos aren't for sailors and whores anymore.
Well,
they're not just for sailors and whores. That's how it goes. Yeah.
Well, when did you think tattoos became more popular again?
Tattoos became more popular with Lyle Tuttle. He had a studio out in San Francisco, and he kind of brought tattooing mainstream. I kind of compare what Pavarotti did for opera, bringing it into the mainstream, and people started appreciating it more. That's what Lyle Tuttle did with tattoos, and he brought women into it. He started tattooing women, and he tattooed Janis Joplin, and he tattooed Cher, and he started making it a lot more acceptable, even though there was still little butterflies on the inside of your ankle and stuff. He started bringing it in, and it was much to the chagrin of Sailor Jerry, who Lyle Tuttle and Sailor Jerry were friends. In fact, Lyle Tuttle was on the cover of Rolling Stone. Well, a little aside, he was on the cover of Rolling Stone the week the song cover of the Rolling Stone came out. It was Lyle Tuttle who was on the cover. Sailor Jerry cut out the front of the Rolling Stone and taped it to his toilet seat. That's how much he hated the fact that Lyle was bringing the tattooing to the forefront. So that's when it became pretty popular. And then I think things like barbed wire with Pamela.
Oh yes, she had that one.
What's her name? Had the
Pamela Anderson.
Anderson, yeah, she had the barbed wire, and then they started. Then that brought in everybody wanted barbed wire, and it just started growing. I mean, just more and more people started getting it. In fact, I was surprised when I got into the industry. I'm like, you can really make a living doing this? Are you crazy? And then, wow, yeah, you can. A lot of people get it, and then people always ask me too, what are you going to do when you're totally covered? Re-ink.
Well, after we do this tattoo.
Yeah. There's always room. There's always room.
This is from my opinion, but I never... What's your take on people getting tattoos on their face and neck? Like, my thing is, I always thought I like tattoos, but I didn't like it that much.
Yeah. I mean, that's just personal preference, and I really can't say much because I've got tattooed makeup on.
Oh, really?
So my eyebrows are tattooed. So that's essentially a tattoo on my face. I have them on my neck and the back. Again, it's really, really personal choice. I think there's a certain, shock factor. I have a female friend whose face is tattooed.
Really?
Like, all over it, yeah. And I don't think I'd want it. But then sometimes people get tattoos for different reasons, like, now that I'm getting older, I get an age spot, man, I slap a tattoo on it. I get a little spider vein, man, I slap a tattoo on it. So there could be something going on with their face that you don't know about that's under that tattoo. So, I try not to judge people, but I will admit if I see a face tattoo, I'm like, ooh, all right.
Yeah, that's kind of, you took that to a different level whenever I see that. It's like, ooh, wow, that's a different level of commitment right there.
But now, like necks and chest, especially chest piece on females, you're seeing them more and more, and that was almost, I don't want to say taboo, but it was like you didn't see them that much. Hand tattoos. You see a lot of hand tattoos. Foot tattoos, yeah, that's...
that's always going to be there.
Yeah, everybody's going to be wanting their feet tattooed because they figure they can cover it up with shoes and stuff. So, but finger tattoos, neck tattoos, you're getting into the next level there, and go for it. Usually, it doesn't happen very often. If somebody comes in and wants, like, a tattoo on their neck or on their hand, and they are not tattooed elsewhere, we kind of try to discourage it because that's, you're affecting how people perceive you. You might be limited in your job that you can get and all. But usually the people that come in that want those kind of tattoos are tattooed elsewhere. And there's exceptions to that, too. I get these little, Earth mothers that come in, various ages, all the way from young to older, and they want these, symbols on their fingers, and it means the moon and Mercury and retrograde and stuff like that. And so it's a little bit different. It's not getting like a bleeding eyeball or a skull or something. It's a little bit nicer and a little finer. So
a little more symbolic.
Yeah. I'm looking to see what I got on my. I forget.
Did you... STF.
People are like, don't you want to put SHHH? And I'm like, no. That's exactly what I wanted to say. So,
my friend in college, she had like her parents didn't want her getting tattooed, but she wanted to rebel, so she got a tattoo on the inside of her lip.
Yeah.
It's like
it doesn't really stay very well.
Really?
Yeah.
It fades.
It fades really fast. In fact, 3 girls came down from University of North Florida, and they wanted me to tattoo swoop on the inside. I guess that's what they say at games, swoop, swoop. It's the Ospreys, is that their? Okay, so their game at the time was going to be telecast on ESPN, and they wanted to get on TV. So they came in here, and I tattooed swoop on every one of them. And they got on TV, but then maybe a few weeks later they came back, and one, it had completely fallen out. It wasn't there. Another one, part of it had fallen out. And then the third one stayed in pretty good. It just needed a little tiny touch-up. So go figure. I did them all at the same time, and I put them all back in. They were, like, delighted with it. So I'm like, okay.
All right. For piercings, I don't have any piercings. So what's your typical piercing? Do you
Nowadays, I think it's nose. It used to be belly buttons. Everybody wanted their belly button pierced. But now it's noses, I think. A lot of septums. People are coming in for that. That's real popular now. Nipples are always popular. And we do a lot of below-the-belt tattoos. We do all tattoos, piercings. We do all piercings. We do exotic piercings, things like that. And I think people would be really surprised to know how many people have other things pierced. But, you generally, it's, we still have the ears, forward helix, those ones where they have the diamonds forward there. That's real popular now. And Aaron is the best piercer in the region. I don't think anyone will argue with that.
And who's Aaron?
Aaron is my piercer. See, not only did I give her life because she's one of my daughters, but she also apprenticed under me as a piercer, and so I take partial credit. But she's fabulous. It's funny because we do baby ears too.
Oh.
And you don't want to take
the little studs.
Yeah,
basically.
like little infants that come in, and we'll do it because Aaron has incredible patience. We call her the baby whisperer. Because she can just take a baby and it settles down, and then she can pierce them, and so it's all the way from a tiny little baby getting their ears pierced to some dude getting their dick pierced. I mean, we do it all.
Reverend Ken.
Yeah, and that's piercings are always popular, always popular. People, it's funny. We get some little girls in here, and they'll say, "My daddy says I can't get a piercing, but I can get a tattoo." What? That's a little back-ass words, isn't it? Yeah. Piercings you just take out to go away.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So what's your take on the industry since it's growing now? It's like, do you think it's a good thing, bad thing?
Forward motion's always good. It's made, its tattooing is more acceptable. It's the way they say 65% of the population have a tattoo. I mean, it's an incredible
That's more than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I made that up. I don't know.
No, that's the actual statistic.
No, it's pretty high up there, though.
65%.
The thing is that, okay, we get our licensing, we take our bloodborne pathogen tests, we do all this stuff, but there's no regulation on talent. There's nobody that comes around and says, well, you're good enough to tattoo or you're not good enough to tattoo. So when people think that if someone has a shop or they have the equipment that they're going to be able to tattooing is hard. It's one of the hardest things I've learned to do because there's so many variables.
Like what?
Like skin.
Yeah.
Everybody's skin is different, and everybody's skin on different parts of their body is different. their pain tolerance. I will say that we do not use the P word here. We don't say pain. We say sensation. Okay. So that level is different. Some people can sit for hours, and other people are like, oh, God, yeah, the drawing, what kind of tattoo you're doing, the weather, all of these things matter, you know. And then after you finish the tattoo, it's like, how do they take care of it? You know, what clothes are they wearing over top of it while it's healing? You know, did their dog scratch it, or did they hit it with a hot poker at work and stuff? So, you know, we send them out here, you know, with beautiful tattoos. That's not necessarily the end of it. They have to take care of it. And so, but as far as the industry growing, you know, that's good. I mean, there are incredible tattoo artists out there now. Stuff that I'm just in awe of. Like, how did you do that? You know, we take care of here. I mean, we do custom pieces. We do, you know, serious art too. But we tend to do the infinity symbols, the dream catchers, the hearts
basic
with mom,
the basic bitch tattoo,
the basic white girl tattoo. Because somebody's got to do it. You know, somebody's got to do it. I have acquaintances that have totally pulled back from doing day-to-day street shop stuff because they want to concentrate on these big masterpieces, and that's their prerogative. But somebody's still got to do that little stuff, you know. So yeah, the industry grows. We all you know, get rewarded for you know, an industry, and then on top of that, we do touch-ups. So we always tell people, yeah, you know, whatever you want to do, just like when you put names on people.
Yeah.
People say some shops that won't even do names. They're like, oh, that's dumb, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you know, I'm not their mother. I try to guide people in the right way. Have you thought of this? Have you considered this? But whenever I do a name on somebody, I always remind them, we do touch-ups.
We do.
Or not touch-ups. We do cover-ups. There we go. We do cover-ups.
We can fix this mistake.
Yeah. So, it's funny because I have this one little girl that comes in. She never comes to me for the original tattoo, but I've done 3 cover-ups of names on her. It's like, when are you going to learn, darling?
Like,
but she never comes to me for the original one.
Is it the same tattoo? You just covering up?
Different names. 3 different guys' names.
Oh my God, why? Why?
And the cover-ups cost more than the tattoo, usually. So.
It costs more.
But she's a sweetheart. And, you know.
All right. Ooh, sorry. So motorcycle driving or riding. How'd you get started with that?
I got my first motorcycle when I was 21 on my 21st birthday.
What was it?
It was a Honda.
Okay, good. Because like some people, like there was a guy. Well, actually, most people kind of like Hondas or Suzukis now or Yamahas. But there was a Harley guy who got upset. It's like, oh, your bike sucks. It's a Honda. I'm like, okay, it costs half than your bike and twice the quality. So, well,
I got my first bike, like I said, my 21st birthday. It was 1973, and that was right with the Beach Boys and Little Honda and, you know, all that stuff. So everybody wanted a Honda, and I was living at the beach in San Diego. So I got this little 175, which was the smallest bike that was freeway legal. Although I never took it on the freeway, but I wanted the option. It was little. It was like... Actually, I had 3 Hondas. And then I didn't have a bike for a while because I started having children.
Yeah.
And then when my husband and I got in a position, you know, to have another bike, you know, I bought him a Harley for, I forget, one of his birthdays. And then I just rode bitch with him for a while. And then, yeah, you want to ride again. So I got my first Harley. I've had 2, 3 Harleys. We've had about 5 or 6. But, yeah. I can say, you know, I can be like, oh, yeah, any bike's good and all, but there's something about a Harley. There's something about the sound. There's something about
there's
the way
the
it
sound
feels.
to it.
There's just, you know, that's what I always wanted.
I remember my family up in New York, they're big bikers. And he's like, when you grow up and get a bike, right, if you go and get a crotch rocket, then you get, what do you call it? A rice burner. That's what you call a rice burner. But if you get a normal bike, you get a Harley.
Yeah.
They love Harleys.
Some of these bikes, man, they look like Harleys. They're big and they sit in them. I like a big bike. I like to sit in my bike. I can't do this crotch rocket crap, you know, where you're leaning over in that weird position. to me, that's not natural. I'd kill myself on a bike like that.
I did ride one crotch rocket, and it was only for 20, 30 feet, but it's a little comfortable in a way. Mm-hmm. So you're not always sitting up and laying forward.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, I don't think you're supposed to go that fast on a bike.
I like a big bike. I like to sit in it. I like ape hangers. I'm sort of like in skiing. I'm like a GS skier, a giant slalom. I like big long skis, big. I don't like those little short skis and moguls and chopping it all up. My bicycle, beach cruiser, big fat tires, basket, drink holder. None of that skinny wheeling shit. I'm getting old. I like to be comfortable. So. I miss my Harley. We sold it. My hip was bothering me, and I hadn't ridden my bike in about 6 months, and we needed a new roof. And so we had 3 Harleys. So my husband sold his, and I sold mine. We got a new roof, and then after a while, he sold his last one because he said he felt guilty. He says riding's no fun without me. So we're for the first time in a long time bikeless. And we'll probably stay that way because they say, riding's getting safer because people are more aware of motorcycles. I think that's bullshit. Mm-mm. I think people are more distracted. They don't looking for you.
Yeah, it's worse.
I've gotten killed a couple times, and it's like, holy moly.
Well, cell phones, I'm guilty of doing it. I need to stop doing it. But cell phones are more dangerous behind the wheel than alcohol.
Yeah.
There's a lot more accidents because of it. Easily distracted.
And 2, when you're drunk, and if you're driving, not that you should, but if you are, you're really hyper aware. You're trying not to fuck up.
The police.
It's like, oh God, whereas a cell phone, you just look away for a minute and it's like over. So yeah, I definitely think they're more dangerous. But it's just not, And if now at my age, if I fall, I break. And I don't want.
It's longer recovery.
Well, yeah. So it's like I had a good run. I had a real long run on riding a bike, and never had. I mean, I dropped it a few times and all, but never had an accident. So I'm like, let's cut our losses here. Moving on. But I only drive convertibles, so.
Yeah, I saw that you had the Thunderbird outside.
And I got a Mustang too, Mustang convertible.
Oh, what year?
Oh, these hard questions. I think it's a 12 or a 13
or
something like that. Yeah, it's a new one.
I had a 2010 one.
My first car was a Mustang. 68.
What color was it?
In 1968.
Ooh, what color was it?
It was British racing green with a white Landau top.
So cool.
I wish I still had it. Yeah.
I always told people if I ever become rich, I'll get the Bullet Mustang. One from the Steve McQueen movie.
Yeah.
Such a good looking car.
That was like fastback, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a great looking car. Like, oh my God, look at it.
That would probably be a lot. If I was a gazillionaire, I'd buy my husband a Cobra. Yeah. A real one, not a kit car. Yeah.
Like, no, this one is built to be a Cobra.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, so. But I don't think I'm ever going to have to worry about that, so. I'm always buying them the little cars, the little but look, the doors work. The hood goes up.
Buying a remote control car.
Yeah.
Like, here you go. You can actually drive this one.
That's a good idea. Yeah, Christmas is coming. Yeah.
All right, so who's your favorite child?
Whichever ones I'm talking to at the time. It's funny because they'll do something nice and I'll say, that's why you're my favorite. And I say that to all of them. But Tara Blue is my favorite because she's my oldest. Mm-hmm. Aaron and Ashley are my favorites because they're my twins. Mm. And Molly is my favorite because she's my baby. So
they're all favorites for a different reason.
Yep, exactly. They're all great kids. We're really, really fortunate to have great children. Mm. Yeah.
All right, guys. For all you guys who just started listening to the podcast, this is a question part. The reason why I ask these questions is because I have people from different backgrounds on the show, live different lives, that have different viewpoints, and the whole idea behind the show is really about learning another person's story or hearing another person's story. So the reason why I ask these questions, and these are interpersonal questions, so they're psychological. No wrong answer. There's no wrong answer, but it's supposed to show the more intimate version of someone, the one that the best friend or the husband or wife
Do I
knows.
have to get naked for this part?
No, you don't have to get naked.
Okay.
But
Darn.
but I ask these questions just to show, like, you know what, no matter what you think about their views or how they live their life, you can relate to these people on any level. You just gotta sit down and listen to their story. Alright, let's get started. Given the choice of anyone in the world from any time period, who would you want as a dinner guest and why?
I knew you were going to ask me that one because that's a hard
Well,
one.
that's the first one.
Yeah. Gosh, that's hard to say. I've done the thing where if you could have 6 people and eat dinner with them, who would they be? And I always said it was, gosh, who did I say? I know Bill Clinton was one of them.
Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Was it saxophone Bill Clinton?
Yeah.
Was it pre-Monica or post-Monica?
Doesn't matter. I like them either way. Joe Rogan was one of them. Don't ask me why. That's just, Alex Trebek.
Alex Trebek would actually be pretty cool.
Yeah.
What kind of stories does he have?
He's got great stories. I'm a big Jeopardy fan. Anybody from history, though, gosh, that is... No matter what I say, I know I'm going to go, oh, I should have said. I don't know. Like George O'Keeffe, she's like one of my favorite artists.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be interested in what she had to say. But I also understand that she was pretty much a curmudgeon. So she may not have been a very good dinner guest. So, she was kind of persnickety.
What was he popular for?
George O'Keeffe?
Yeah.
She did the Southwestern art. She had the cattle skull floating in the air with the flowers. Yeah.
Oh.
She's really, really interesting. I've read all her books. I'm a big fan. But like I said, I don't know if I want to eat with her. I should do something like, Jesus Christ or Gandhi or something. But
Yeah, boy, I don't think it would... Actually, I think you would have fun with Jesus because his first miracle was to get people drunk.
Yeah?
It's like, no, let's keep the party going.
That's my man right there, yeah.
Let's keep this party going.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say past it. Yeah, I have to get back to me on that one.
All right. Well, actually, that was a pretty good couple of good answers you had in there.
I want to have dinner with whoever's buying.
What would constitute a perfect day for you?
A perfect day? Waking up.
Waking up? That's it?
Waking up is always a good thing. Yeah. Every day's a perfect day for me. Yeah, I get up and I either work out or take a walk on the beach. My husband makes me breakfast. And I hang out, come in, hang out with my kids and my grandkids and do art, make people happy. I mean, I have no complaints. I really don't.
Good. Good. I envy you. Okay, this is a second time I'm going to ask this question on the show. What would constitute a perfect date for you if you were still dating?
Perfect date? Well, if it's going to be the perfect date, it would have to be with somebody that, that I thought was perfection. A perfect date. All I can think of is my husband because he's like, I've been together with him for so long, and it's like every time we do stuff, we're relaxed and we're happy. We just came off a 30-day road trip, and so that was cool. A perfect date, just something that's relaxed. A few drinks, dinner. Go see some good band, some blues, hang out. Yeah, I'm not a big partier, like get on the table and dance kind of party. Yeah, yeah. Food, entertainment, and sex. I guess that's pretty much says it, doesn't it?
Food, entertainment, and sex.
It's a natural sequence.
Anything with sex is good. There's no such thing as bad sex. Unless it's,
oh no!
Unless it's really...
There is such a thing as bad sex.
Actually, have I had bad sex?
Fortunately, it's few and far between, but there is such a thing. So
I had a girl cry once afterwards, and it was so awkward. And then she told me that she was 20 at the time. This was in college. And she told me how many men she slept with at that time. Then she said I reminded her of her first guy that she slept with. I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. And she
I thought you were going to say her father. You remind you of her father. That'd have been weird.
Well, people keep thinking I'm Mexican. She's like, well, you remind me he was Mexican. I'm like, I'm not Mexican. Then she started crying. I'm like, no.
Oh, she was embarrassed.
But she's a good person. But that was just a weird.
But was it good sex?
Eh. Well, if you're
Don't say her name. Don't say her name.
if you're a guy, like, any sex is good sex.
Yeah, okay. I'll accept that.
If you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be?
Gosh. About the way I was raised. I had a good upbringing. I had great parents, a good family. The way I was raised, I don't know. Probably let me stay out later at night, you know. Maybe if my parents had made me stay in dance lessons, you know, when I was like, I don't want to take dance anymore, they were like, okay. And I wish they had stayed on me about it because, you know, I don't, difference in the way I was raised. Gosh, got a car when I was 16, you know.
A Mustang.
Yeah, a Mustang. Yeah. No, I guess most kids would say, you know, more freedom or whatever. But I also know my motivation as a kid. Therefore, they were probably really smart on keeping me on a short leash. So, you know, looking back, yeah, I don't know. I'm a bunk interview. I don't have an answer for that.
A lot of people, actually, I was surprised with that question because a lot of people do, besides a few people, actually said they had good parents. Like, yeah, I can't complain about my parents.
Yeah.
They're pretty, you know, they did a good job. Yeah, they made a couple mistakes, but they weren't terrible parents.
I guess maybe my mom would always like, I'd say something and she'd say, "Oh, don't be silly," and that was the end of the conversation. And you know, maybe you know, she'd like taken me a little more seriously and all, but that's you know, kind of dumb. I don't know. I had a good upbringing.
All right.
So how did I end up like I am? I know. That's what you're thinking.
Well, you're so cool. If you were arrested and your family and friends were not aware of what you were charged with, what would they assume you were arrested for?
That actually happened to me.
What was it?
I'm not going to tell you what it was, but everybody thought it was a domestic, that I beat the shit out of my first husband.
Oh, okay.
Not my current husband. They thought that we had gotten into it, and it was during the time that we were kind of breaking up, so I could understand why they thought that, and that I had just, you know, somehow wailed on them and gotten arrested, and it wasn't that at all. But I never did tell them what it was. I took their I took the name of their attorney and thanked them very much. Yeah. Now I don't know what they think. Probably I don't know. Oh, that could be. Oh, I was almost arrested at Bike Week one time.
For what?
Rode our bikes down into the corral at Iron Horse, right?
Yeah.
And you know how they've got those balcony things that go across. You know, people stand on them and they yell at you and all. So I pull my bike in. Everybody's like, "See the Cher," and I'm like, "Ooh," you know. And I'm doing that whole, you know, Hulk Hogan thing with the gear, you know. And so I start to pull my shirt up. You know, and I pull it down. Then I pull it up a little more, and I turn down. Everybody's cheering and getting crazy and all. And then I feel a tap on my shoulder. And I turn around, and it's a Daytona policeman. And he goes, "It's illegal to expose yourself." And I said, "What? This is Bike Week." And I said, "What?" And he says, "Is a like $160 fine, you know, for public indecency." And I said, "Is that per tit or is that for both of them?"
Per tit.
And he didn't find the humor in that. And then he said, "This is," what did he say? "This is a family event."
No, it's
what?
not.
This is fucking Iron Horse during Bike Week. It's a family event. And I never flashed after that. Yeah, I can't afford it. Everybody's booing them and everything. It was pretty funny, but yeah, that surprised the hell out of me because I flash people all the time. I tried to flash Trump when he drove by during.
Oh yeah, he was here.
Yeah, so I went out there because everything got real quiet, and I remembered, oh shit, Trump's arriving at the airport right here, and he's driving by. So they had blocked the road off. So we all went out on the road, and then all the caravans started coming, and there's police and sirens and stuff like that. And I'm all ready because I was going to flash them. And there was like 3 or 4 like black SUVs that went by. We didn't know which one he was in, and I'm like, and they were gone. So I was really bummed. So when he was coming back, it wasn't as much rigmarole. It was just sort of a escorted SUV. And I went out to check the mail, and all of a sudden everything got real quiet. And I'm like, oh, I bet he's headed back. And as he drove by, I flipped him off. Now, I don't know, the person in the see, when they went by the first time, all the windows were up and everything's dark, and, you didn't know who was who. But this time, it appeared to be him. And he was in the front, I think he was in the front seat, maybe in the back seat. But either way, the window's down, and he had his arm out, and, he looked like him. It could have been a decoy. It maybe wasn't him. I don't know. But as he walked by, or drove by, I flipped him off, and he nodded at me. So, and that's it. So I don't know if it was really him or not. And
I think you got a different reaction if you flashed him.
I don't know, but didn't some chick get arrested for... No, she was flipped him off or something, and they arrested her.
No, they didn't arrest her. What happened was she got fired from work.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you're so...
But I just was like, oh, I wasn't prepared to flash, and so I didn't get to do it. But, yeah, that was my one almost getting arrested at Bike Week.
At Bike Week. I actually, when you're talking about that, I remember this when I was in college. We went to Mardi Gras on the last day because I was in Pensacola, so it was only like a 3-hour drive. It was the last weekend. So me, my 4 friends, 2 girls, 2 guys, we got in the car, drove to New Orleans, and I really wanted the flashy beads. So I had the 2 girls with me, right next to me, and they're like, "Flash your junk." I told them, like, "Hey, guys, look away." I just took out my junk, like, "I want the beads." Like, yay! Like, this is fun.
That's funny. Yeah. I don't know if I'd go that far. I wouldn't drop my trowel, though.
Well, like, if you're a guy, where are you going to flash?
I know.
There's
exactly.
only one.
You only got one thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's like, I can't, pick up my shirt, like, oh, okay. That's all you got?
That's funny. I'd flash in Mardi Gras. Yeah, absolutely.
It's fun. I loved it.
I mean, they're tits. It's like...
It's,
yeah.
well, my thing is, like, I feel like it's... If women's breasts were constantly exposed, I think there won't be a mystery to it. I like the mystery. Like, ooh, what's that?
Yeah.
Like, ooh, surprise.
Yeah.
I like the mystery.
Good to know. Make a note of that.
What, if anything, is too serious to be joked about?
Child abuse.
Okay.
Yeah. People that make jokes, and they're funny jokes, they think, and all, and it's just like, no. Anything to do with,
children?
And animal. Child abuse and animal abuse. I don't find any of that funny. It breaks my heart. So. And I have no experience with either. Yeah. I was never abused. I never abused my children. I really don't think I know anybody that it's just those commercials come on for like Save the Children. Yeah. And help little Maria, and I have to turn it off. That and the ones with the sad puppies and all, I turn that down. I can't handle it.
The Sarah McLachlan.
Yeah, that's one of them. But and then they have little kittens and stuff. Yeah, that makes me sad. I don't do the St. Jude commercials very well either. That makes me sad too. But at least those kids are like happy. They're like, oh, send us money and help us get better, and so you don't, you're
not feeling guilt tripped into it.
Yeah.
Right. If you were to wake up tomorrow and gain any power ability, what would it be and why?
Well, I like Callie's thing about the refill power. I've never heard of that.
I never heard about that one. That's actually a smart idea.
Oh, there's nothing in my wallet. We refill it. That would be kind of cool. I don't think I want to. Yeah, it does. I don't know if it'd be cool to fly. Flying or being invisible or reading people's minds. I'd maybe cure people. Like if somebody's sick and I can say, oh, now you can not be sick. I think that'd be cool. But that's not really a superpower. That's like a little too serious.
Well, my friend, he's the one. When I first asked that question, was to him for one of the episodes. It was the 2 ex-cops sharing a bowl episode. We were smoking a lot of pot. He he gave me a pretty cool answer. He said like whatever he says will come true.
Ooh.
And so like that's powerful.
Yeah, you gotta be careful what you say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he said that's the most powerful superpower you could actually have. Unless
So if somebody makes me mad and I go, fuck you, then I'd have to do... No, that's not good. That's not a good answer. Yeah.
So you gotta be careful what you say
Yeah.
or how you say it.
Should be that way anyway, huh?
What conspiracy theories do you believe in?
I believe in Bigfoot. I believe in UFOs. I believe... I think that's it.
That's it. That's about it.
Yeah. I mean, I believe that they really landed on the moon. You know, stuff like that. But, yeah, yeah. You say that they didn't land on the moon, but the Mythbusters busted that myth, so that's good. But, yeah, I definitely believe in Bigfoot. In fact, this road trip we came on, driving to the northwest and looking down in those valleys, all the dense trees or the redwoods and all like that, and I actually got my husband to admit that it is possible that an animal or a creature like Bigfoot could live down there and no one would ever know.
It's a lot of land in the United States that hasn't been explored yet.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Easily get lost.
Yep. And so that's the big, I don't know if that's a conspiracy theory, but I definitely believe in that. I believe in UFOs. What else is a conspiracy theory? Trump's a robot? Yeah. An evil robot. Yeah. What are some other ones? What are some... I'll tell you if I believe in them or not.
The same friend I was talking about the superpower, he came up with a good one, and it turned out there's like a documentary on Netflix about it. It's called... It's called, the name of the documentary is called The Nightmare, and it's called The Sleep People or The Shadow People. And the whole idea is like these people have what you call sleep paralysis. So when they fall asleep, their body goes paralyzed because your body paralyzes itself when you're sleeping to protect itself. But these people are still awake and they see like evil figures. And turn out this is like in the documentary they're saying like this is kind of like a normal thing with sleep paralysis.
Huh.
And we watched the documentary and it was just freaky.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
When you were stoned, right?
Yeah. I was stoned.
That was freakier.
I had this dog sleeping with me too.
Yeah.
Oh, look at you getting all of your
So, yeah, I'm open-minded about a lot of stuff. My husband says I'm incredibly gullible. But unless someone gives me reason not to believe something, or I have personal experience, that's not true, then, yeah, why not? I've seen some freaky things in my life, so I'm open.
See some freaky shit. Alright, when was the first time you fell in love?
With a human? Or...
Yeah, you uses most people.
It's supposed to be people?
Usually.
First time I fell in love. Gosh, I guess I thought I was in love in high school. First time I fell... God, these are hard questions, man.
I mean, there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
It's about you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm always falling in love and yeah. The first time, I can't remember. Yeah. I think I was in love with Richard Schiff when I was in first grade.
Battlestar Galactica?
No, this is just some kid in the first grade
that's
class.
the guy from Battlestar Galactica.
It was Richard Schiff, and he said if we were 6 years old and if we're going to get married, I had to be in the same room with him when he peed, because that's what his mother and father did.
What?
So he peed, and I had to stand in the room, and I couldn't look. I was so embarrassed. I was 6, but I loved him. Yeah. So, yeah, God, I've been in and out of love so many times. That's hard to say. Sorry.
Huh. No, like I said, no wrong answer. Oh, what is your most precious memory?
Precious memory. Gosh, it's got to be the birth of my children, the birth of my grandbabies. It's just it's such a miracle to see a human be born. It's like, dang.
Yeah, like this was inside me. Oh my god.
Yeah. Holy crap. And then to see, your children, birth, it's just like, yeah, that's precious. I guess that would be a good word. I mean, hell, I think precious thoughts when I play with my stuffed animals at home now, It's like, oh, they're so precious. Yeah. I'm a bunk interview, sorry.
No, this is a great interview. I love it.
Help me, Aaron.
No, you're doing great. The one I did before this had to be a little more professional because of his business. Mm-hmm. So, like, he was worried about, rightly so, he's worried about how the news is and the politics are right now, so he had to be a little bit careful
what business was he in?
Was it the distillery?
The distillery one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But so that one I had to be a little bit more cautious because of that.
Because he was representing his business.
Yeah. But this one's a little more laughter, a little more fun.
Yeah, you can't take us seriously.
That's what we do all day. It's fun.
What was that face?
Well, the story behind that is I was getting ready to come in one day, and my husband walks in, and he goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm getting ready for work. Mm-hmm. He goes, you call what you do work? And I said, that's a good point. I guess I'm getting ready to fun. So now I tell people, if you're looking for me, I'm funning all day.
I'm funning all day?
Yeah.
And somebody's like, does it mean fucking? All right. What are your deepest held beliefs?
What?
Your deepest held beliefs. Like spirituality or religion?
What goes around comes around, That's a belief, and I believe it. I think we're the sum of everything went before. Mm-hmm. I think that we're here for a reason. I believe we came from somewhere, that we're here for a reason, and there's something to do after this. When people go, what is the meaning of life? I'm always like, I know the meaning of life.
Food.
Yeah, food. Sex. No, we're sent here to gain a physical body. Mm-hmm. And to test our, how we are interacting with a physical body. It's, as a spirit, we're bogged down by this body. And we have trials and tribulations that we have to go through and conquer in order to progress. I think this is part of a progression. And I believe that, seriously, everything happens for a reason. It's kind of trite, but I think it's true. Deeply held beliefs, I guess that's a pretty big one, I guess. I think, kindness begets kindness. Mm-hmm. That's a serious belief. You treat people like you want to be treated. That's a pretty good belief. I think there's a lot of things that if people just got it down to the basics, that we'd all get along a lot better.
Yeah.
You give, try to give more than you take. If you borrow something, give it back to them in better condition than it was when you took it. That's a big deal. Yeah. I just think we should all try to get along. We're all in this together. And it's funny because I know we just had a hurricane, but the last hurricane, when everybody, was it the Cajun Navy or something, was going around saving people, And I said, they didn't go like, excuse me, are you a Catholic? I'm sorry, we're only picking up Protestants today. Or, are you a Democrat, or are you a Republican? Oh my God, you're brown, we can't get you. No, nobody cared, because you're going to get right down to it. We're all humans, we're all people, we all need each other to get along. And I think that was such a perfect example of what it should be like. But then after the tragedy, everybody goes back to being assholes, so.
Not all the time, though.
Yeah, well, I hope not. I try not to be. In fact, when I'm an asshole, it's very much on purpose. But, yeah.
What is the biggest sacrifice you made in your life?
The biggest sacrifice? My body to my children. To these knockers, to years of nursing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't sacrifice much. I'm pretty much, me. You know, I want it all. Biggest sacrifice. Yeah, human sacrifice. Yeah.
There were a couple other children before you guys, and there was a sacrificial.
That was it. We don't talk about them.
We don't talk about them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Sacrifice. Yeah.
No.
Moving right along.
Moving right along.
Help me out, kids.
I don't know.
What's something that you're most proud of, but never had an excuse to brag about?
Most proud of? Well, the stuff I'm proud of, I brag about all the time. Like my kids. My kids are awesome. My grandkids are awesome. I brag about them all the time. I don't know if it's worth bragging about, but I was almost kidnapped by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia.
What?
Back in
Wait, what happened? Wait, that is something to brag about.
I don't
what
talk about
happened?
that much. Well, I was the base photographer at Naval Station San Diego, and he was the I can't even say his name, but he was the equivalent of their defense minister, like our Secretary of Defense. And, he's part of the family. That they're all in power there. And I was taking photographs. They came on board Naval Station. We were turning over some of our ships to him and all. And I was taking pictures of him. And he took a liking to me. Mm-hmm. He would stop. He had this entourage with him that was like 20 people. And he would stop and touch my hair, and he'd want to see my photograph. I was taking Polaroid pictures, and so he wanted to see the Polaroid pictures, and every time he stopped to interact with me, everything had to stop. All the admirals had to stop, all their aides had to stop. Everything. This was a big deal, and everything stopped, So the Secret Service guy came up to me and he goes, the prince really likes you, and he's staying over at North Island in the VIP quarters. And and I was working on my portfolio to get into Syracuse, and so I thought if I had some photographs of the prince, candid shots that that'd be cool and all. And so the guy says, come on by and I'll get you in. Now, I have to preface this with saying that what happened would never happen nowadays, ever, because of security and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was like so I wasn't going to go back. But I wanted the photo op, So I went to the VIP quarters. Well, the Secret Service dudes had changed shifts or something. The guy that I talked to wasn't there. So the guy that I was talking to, he goes, well, I can't let you in, but tell you what, I can sneak you around the side of the building, the side of the quarters, and they're on the back terrace, and you can take some pictures through the bushes. So I'm like, okay, cool. So the Secret Service guy sneaks me into these bushes that were lining the patio, and it was a pretty good distance, a big long lens. And so I start snapping pictures while somebody saw me. And he sees me, and he gets up, and he pulls me out of the bushes, and he gets me tea. And all of our interaction was through an interpreter. And although I understand later that he could speak English, and he didn't really need that interpreter. But everybody was all in robes and stuff, except for the one guy that was like his aide, and he was in a three-piece suit, right? And I remember them asking me who I was going to vote for president, and I said Nixon, and they all stood up and clapped. I'm like 19 years old at the time. And they asked me if I wanted a cup of tea. And I said yes, and they asked me if I wanted lemon in it, and I said I'd like sugar in it. And they kind of made faces, and everybody had sugar in their tea.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so he wanted to take me to Geneva, which was his next stop, and he wanted me to go with him. And I said, no, I can't, because I'm government property. I can't just leave. And he said, don't worry, through an interpreter, he said, don't worry, my government will fix it with your government. Okay, cool. So he invited me back for music and cards. because he had to go to dinner with an admiral or something, and he wanted me to come back at 10 o'clock. Okay, so I'm leaving, and the guy in the three-piece suit walks me out to my car, and he asks me if I'm going to be coming back, and I said, no, I'm not going to come back, He goes, well, you are a representative of your country, and if you don't come back, you will offend the prince. I'm 19. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to offend the prince. Oh my God. So I go home, and on the way home, I stop by, see my girlfriend. She's like, oh, you got to go. You got to go back. This is like, what? Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know. So anyway, I ended up going back. And it was 10 minutes to 10 when I went through the main gate. And I remember the time because they stopped me. And at that time, they would just wave you through if you had a sticker. And after 10 o'clock, they stop cars and check IDs. So it wasn't 10 o'clock yet, and the Marine stopped me, and I'm like, what the? And he had me roll down my window, and he goes, I bet your name is Sherry. Because that was my name at the time. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what's going on? And he goes, they want to see you in the security building. So I'm like, I'll put out and everything, because I don't know when I'm going to be late, right? So I pull in, and I go into the security building, and I was immediately put under custody of, they were like CIA and Secret Service and Navy intelligence and security and all this stuff, and I didn't know what was going on, and I was crying, and nobody would tell me anything. So they called the OOD, the Officer of the Day, from Naval Station, because the quarters were on North Island in San Diego. So they called my command, and the OOD came over. And fortunately, I was real good friends with him. I knew him, and so he really took care of me and everything. And come to find out is that they had intercepted a plan that they were going to take me.
Holy crap.
And they were going to put me in a ceremonial robe box. They had these boxes for all their fancy robes. And that would go out on the first plane that would take off, because that was the decoy plane. And once they got me into international airspace, I was gone. So I was like, oh my God. So the next day I go to work, and they call me into the commanding officer's office, and they had this guy there that had just come from embassy duty in Saudi Arabia, and they're telling me how I would have been in the royal harem, and I would have gotten this tattoo, and then he would have tired of me after a few years, and they would have sent me to Eastern Arabia, and they would have sold me on the slave market, and they would have gotten a lot of money for me because I was a Westerner, and I had this tattoo, and blah, blah, blah. So, I was scared shitless. But over time, I thought, these guys are like, it probably wasn't that bad. They were probably trying to scare me and everything, because it was a big deal. The next day, the Secretary of State called my commanding officer wanting to know who the hell I was, because they had gotten back. And so, Secretary of State Rogers, I remember that. And so it got to be a joke. With the California Highway Patrol were involved in it.
The chips were
because they were looking for my car. And that's the odd thing, is because I went from the base to the ice cream shop to see my friend, and then home, took a shower, got dressed, turned around, came back. So, how come nobody could find me, But anyway, years later, I was interviewing a guy that had served in because I was a journalist and I did interviews. He had served in Saudi Arabia and all, and I said, hey, tell you what, let me tell you a story, and you tell me how accurate it is. And so I told him the story I just told you. And he said, oh, that's nothing. It would have been much worse.
Ooh.
And all of a sudden I got scared again, like 20 years later. I'm like, oh my God. But they were telling me that they would not have been able to get me back. That it would have been a big deal, that, all this other stuff. And so a few weeks later, I get a package in the mail, and it's a colored portrait signed by the prince.
Oh my God.
And I still have it. In fact, I said to my husband the other day, with all this Saudi Arabian stuff going on, I said, that's probably worth money, this guy. He's dead now. He died. I put it on my Facebook. My princess died. So, but that was the last contact I ever had with him.
Did he paint it himself, or was this commissioned?
No, it was a photograph, color photograph.
Okay.
Portrait-like of him.
Oh.
He was not an attractive dude. Yeah.
What a creepy guy.
Yeah. So I don't get to tell that story very much.
That's a great story.
I'm proud of it, but it's definitely like, oh yeah, that happened to me.
Oh my God, that was an international incident that could have happened.
Yeah.
So, man, that's so. Ugh.
I don't know about bragging about it, but that's definitely a big deal. Yeah. I've done a lot of cool things.
That was pretty.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty epic.
I'll send you a picture of the.
Yeah, send me the picture.
Yeah. It's hanging on my wall in my workroom at home. And then I have the picture. I have a picture because I was taking photographs of him too, and I have the one surviving photo of him at the helm of the USS Douglas, and he's looking over at me with this lecher look. He was like, yeah. It's pretty gross. You know the picture? Yeah.
You know
It's above my printer.
the picture.
But,
All right. This is going to be the last question.
okay.
It's a question I ask everyone. That's a two-part question. What is the worst thing you've ever done, and what's the best thing you've ever done in your life?
The worst thing I've ever done. Okay, there's, probably the worst thing I've ever done is drugs. But at the time it wasn't the worst thing. In hindsight I go, sheesh.
What kind of drugs? What were they? Psychedelics?
This and that.
Oh, this. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I think back on it and think that was really kind of a waste. But on the other hand, you chalk it up for experience. I mean, it didn't die, and actually it was quite the good time at the time. But I'm not real proud of that. The best thing, birthing this family, this incredible family I have. These kids, they're just awesome, and I'm real proud of that. I mean, they've turned out really good in spite of me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Despite your best efforts,
Yeah.
Well, it came out pretty good.
Sometimes my efforts weren't the best, and for that I'm truly sorry, girls.
You did your best.
I did, yeah, at the time.
You did your best. Well, it looks like you did everything well. You got a great family. You got a great little shop here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you lived a great life. Crap.
Life is good.
You did some interesting shit.
Yep. Shit.
Not shit. All right, I want to thank you for letting me come into your tattoo shop and do the podcast.
Oh, thank you for coming.
Do you have any website, Instagram, Twitter that people can find you guys at?
SailorShare.com, which is our website. It's our website. We mostly use it for like downloading forms and all when people need them when they come in. Mm-hmm. We do most of our stuff on our Facebook page, which is Sailor Cher Tattoo and Body Piercing.
Okay.
Do you have an Instagram? Oh, we have an Instagram page too, Sailor Cher's Tattoo and Body Piercing.
Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, so
Sailor Cher's Tattoo is the Instagram.
Okay, that way I could put it on your episode description, and a friend Instagram request you. Like I literally got Instagram and Twitter yesterday.
Now, see, the Twitter I don't do. I don't get it. Yeah, well, I don't get it, but I do Instagram.
I had to ask a couple people, like, all right, explain to me how to use a hashtag. Like, how does that connect back to your content? Because I'm trying to understand how the hell do you use this?
I just used to do it, and then somebody, I think it was Aaron, says, oh, well, then, like, I put hashtag Sailor Share, then if you just go do Sailor Share, search it, it comes up with everything I've hashtagged that, or anybody else has hashtagged it.
Okay, yeah, I'm still... Let me go on YouTube and figure it out. All right, thank you for doing this episode.
Oh, thank you.
For everyone that's listening, check out the website, ataboolife.com, where you can read some interesting articles, short stories, poems, because I am that sappy. Other episodes of podcasts, all of it's free. None of it's politically incorrect. All of it's politically incorrect. Just to remind everyone. Thank you again for doing the show, and hope you guys have a great week.
Thank you.